Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Satish. If you remember from the previous videos, we have discussed about the Streamlit documentation and then the free playground provided by the Streamlit, and then we discussed the data elements and the chat elements. In this video, we will be discussing the most important concepts in the Streamlit, which are chat elements, by using which we can create the Chat GPT kind of user interface, and then the layouts. These layouts are extremely important because by using them you can well organize your web page. So let's jump in. Alright, let me create a file called part3.py, part03.py, and then let me minimize it so that you can see better. Here we need to import the Streamlit first, and then there is a function called st.chartInput. This function will give us the chat input field in the Streamlit. So let me run this application. Streamlit run and part03.py. Here you go. You see a nice page with the chat input. And if you want to change this default message, you can put your custom message within the chat input function. Let me put ask me anything, and then save the file. So it is detected, file is changed, and then click on always rerun. You see the message is changed over here. And if you want to display this message, you need to capture the output of this chat input. I'm calling it as a prompt, and then just display this prompt on the page. st.write and give a prompt as an input to it. Okay, so there is a none. Since we did not chat anything, by default it will show none at the beginning, and if you start typing hey, then it will show that here. And if you want to avoid none in the start of the page, then you can put if prompt is present, then display this one. Now none is not showing up. Then you can type anything over here, it will show up here. This is looking very plain, right? We can beautify it with a function called chat message. Let me do that. Let me get rid of this with st.chat message. And we need to pass a name here. It will accept 4 types of inputs by default. One is AI, assistant, human, and user. By using these, the icon of the chat will change. So let me choose user and then display the prompt. Let me type hey. So see, there is a nice icon coming up here with a hey. If I change this to AI or assistant, it will change to robotic icon like a hi, like this. There is another simplest way to do the same thing. Instead of writing this with st and all, what we can do is we can write a st.chat message, and then name is like a, let's say AI or user, whatever you want. I'm giving it as a user, and here itself you can call a write function and then print whatever you want. So let's do the same thing and then go and test it again. Hello. Yeah, it's doing the same thing. And if you want to do multiple messages, right, you can do like this and print. Here you can put AI, and then you can change the prompt to maybe some static value. Hey there, something like this. And whenever you chat something, it will show one user message and the response from the AI. So far so good, right? So let me minimize this window a bit. And then here, let me write one function for the AI response. Let's say definition AI response. We store our output as a message. Let's give some dummy message over here. Hey there. Hope you are liking my videos. Please subscribe to the channel. And then return this message. So here, instead of giving a static value, we can call that function. It is a AI response. Then you can test it out now. Hey, so as soon as you hit hey, it is saying hey there, hope you are liking my videos and please subscribe to the channel. But if you see, as soon as I hit enter, this text is coming up. But if you want to give us some nice typing kind of effect, instead of returning this entire message at a time, we can stream word by word so that it will display some typing effect here. So let me get rid of this written message. Let me put a for loop. Let's do a word in message.split. I want to split the messages based on the space, and then yield that word. Yield function is used to return the parts of the function until it is completed. Yield word. Since we have removed the spaces using the split, we need to add them back. And let me add a little time delay so that the word by word will be separated with that time duration. Time dot sleep, or maybe let me give 0.1. Since we are using time here, we need to import it. Import time. All right. And here, instead of write, we need to use write stream function to use the streaming functionality. So let me test it out. Hey, see here. If you notice, it came as a typing kind of effect, which is cool, right? And let me give another text. Hello. If you see here, the previous messages are not getting retained. The reason is whenever you do input or button click anything, the entire page gets refreshed in the Streamlit. So that's the reason the previous messages are vanishing. There is a solution to solve this problem that is called session state. Let me explain the concept behind this session state. You can consider this as a temporary storage in the Streamlit application. So during the rerun, the values can be fetched from the session state and can be displayed on the web page automatically. So what I'm going to do is, whenever I type some message, I'm going to put this message into the session state, and then during the rerun, I will fetch everything from the session state and display it on the web page. So that way we can have the old messages as well. All right, let me minimize this function. Let me start my code over here. So we need to check if the messages is already existing or not. If it is not existing, then we need to initialize it. Let me do that. If messages not in st.session_state, then initialize it. st.session_state.messages equal to empty list. So here, instead of displaying the message directly, we need to put the message into the session state and then read all the messages from here. Let me comment these lines out, and if there is a prompt, what we need to do, we need to put st.session_state.messages, then we need to append these messages, append prompt, and then you can loop through the session state and display all the messages. For message in st.session_state.messages, then let's copy this line as it is. For now, I'm taking only user chat. Let's ignore the AI response user, and instead of prompt, we can put a message. Let's see how it will work now. The file is changed. Let me click on always rerun. Let's say, hey, oops, there was a typo here. I'm missing the S. Let me save it again. Okay, let me type something here. Hey, and then hello, how is it going? So this way we can retain the list of messages. So with this, we are done with the chat elements, and let me start with the layout. So please focus, this is very important part. Let me comment out all this code, then save it, then click on rerun. So everything is gone. So let's assume you want to create a user input field. How do you create it? Like st.text input, and then we can give some kind of a naming here, username, and then st.text input, and then the password. We need to give the type as a password. Here we have user. Let me maximize this one. Here we have a username and password. Let me put another button here, st.button, call it as a sign in. Here you can see all these username password are coming in a one line after other. But if you want to put them in a single line side by side, how we can do that? We can do that using concept called columns. Here we need to define how many columns we need. Let's say I want 3 columns so that I can put username in one column, password in another, and a sign in the third column. Let me define them. Column 1, comma, column 2, comma, column 3, and then assign columns to it. Columns, and count of the columns is 3. Let's save this one. Now let's move these elements into these columns. Let's put with column 1, and then this is the input text. Let's put this inside the column 2, and then let's put this inside the column 3. Here you go. They all came in a nice order, like a username, password, sign in button. You can also check this alignment, but I do not want to go that deep now. But I hope you got the idea of columns. And now the next function is the containers. This containers is used to group the things together. Let me give an example with st.containers. If you want to add a header over here, header, this is header, add some kind of a text to it. This is text. Now, if you see, these two elements are grouped together. You cannot see whether this is inside a container or not, right? You can do that by if you assign a border to it. See, this is in a border. Okay, and if you print any other text outside of this one, st.text, this is outside of container. See, this is the outside of container. And the next one is the expander. This works like a expand and a collapse. So for that we need to do with st.expander and then give some name, click to expand, and then write something like a st.write and give some multiple lines of text here. Let's say this is line 1, 2. All right, let me save this. See, there is a nice expander over. You can click on it to see the content on it and then click again to minimize it. So the next one is called forms. So let me copy these buttons from here and then change them a little bit. We do not need these columns now. Let me get rid of them. Okay, and then let me indent them to the left hand side. Now let me create a form over here with st.form. Let's give some name to it, my form, and then these elements will go inside the form. Let's capture those values. Let's call it as a username, and then this is the password, and this is the submitted. Instead of calling it as a st button, there is a function called form submit button. So it will submit the form values over here. Then we can print some text over here. If it is submitted, we'll display st.write, username is username, and password is password. All right, let me check over here. Let me rerun this one. So there is a new form, and here let me put a Satish, and password is Satish. If you click on it, I've given the username as a Satish and password as a Satish. Maybe let me change the password. I changed the password. So username is Satish and password is please subscribe to the channel. And then there is a popover is also there. It is very simple. With st.popover and then give some name, open popover, and then display st.write hey, and then you can give some kind of a input also, text input. Let's call it as a name, and then the text input. Then you can give what is your name. You can display this name. If name exists, then you can display st.write your name is, and then the name. Okay, so let's look over here. There is a popover. What is your name? I'm giving Satish. I'm displaying my name here. Okay, now we are just left with two more functions, but these two are very important. Let me start with a sidebar. So we need to define with a sidebar, st.sidebar, and then you can add any element to this. For example, I want to add hey and then some hi symbol. Okay, let me save it. So you should see some nice sidebar over here. And in fact, you can bring in all these text elements or forms into the sidebar. Let me bring in all this username, everything to the sidebar. Let me call it as a normal button. See, you can display some kind of a username, password, sign in over here. It looks nice, right? Now this is looking like a website. So whenever you are doing some machine learning model or something, you can put all filters on the left hand side, data or graphs on the right hand side. Then it looks very professional. The sidebar you can also minimize using this button. And the last part of the session is the tabs. The tabs is similar to the columns, but it will hide the other columns while one is focused. So let me do that. Let's take 3 tabs, tab 1, tab 2, and tab 3. Then we need to call it as st.tabs. Here, if you see the tabs equal to, it accepts the list. One is, let's say, home page, and then about, and then the last one is a contact. Okay, let's save this one. If you go here, there is a nice home, about, contact. So let me comment all of these so that you can see it better. Yeah, perfect. You can add some text or some elements to it. For example, with the tab 1, you can add st.header. This is home page, and then give some caption st.caption. This is a home page caption. Similarly, for tab 2 also add something. With tab 2, st.header, this about page, and then for tab 3 also, this is contact page. So if you see here, you can change the pages like this. You can navigate between them. Okay. For example, if you want to bring this list to the third tab, you can just put them over here. Yeah, it should be it. Home and the contact, it will display the user ID password. All right, more or less we are done with the main functionalities of the Streamlit. And if your application is a public one, you can also deploy it to Streamlit Cloud. Let me show how to do that. Here you can go to streamlit.io and then click on the cloud over here. Let me zoom in a bit. Click on the cloud and then click on the join community cloud. Here you can sign in. I'm going to sign in with my GitHub account. I'm skipping the login process, but you can do yourself. And then here you can click on the create app and then deploy the public app. Then you can give the repository name and then your branch name and your Streamlit application file over here. And then you can define some URL like a Satish Karangula my app 02, something like this, and you can click on deploy. That's all we need to deploy it. This is how I have deployed my previous Streamlit application. You can see its GitHub code as well. If you're interested, click on this one and go and check out the code. Here also I have used some kind of a columns, placed these 3 elements into 3 columns, and then I kept a divider and then just displaying these values over there. So more or less we are done with all the basic concepts of the Streamlit. There are several advanced concepts are there, but my idea is to give them introduction to the Streamlit. I hope you enjoyed all the 3 videos. And one more thing I would like to mention, that I'm open for a collaboration. In case if you're doing any project using Streamlit, need some help, feel free to contact me either over comment section in the YouTube or the LinkedIn. I will be happy to collaborate with you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.